Yes. Uh, Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today in another edition of the weekly brainstorm. Um, Let me just take a few minutes to kind of introduce the weekly brainstorm and what we do over here. Uh, uh, and in that process, let me just try and pull up Samir on stage as well. Samir, I've just sent you an invite so you can just join in. While he's joining in, let me just take a few minutes out to tell you what the weekly brainstorm is about. We have one founder who shares what they're building, and the rest of the founder community that we have here tries to put themselves in the shoes of the founder and just for, let's say, the next half an hour, right? And kind of think of what you would do if you were the founder of this startup. What would you do to make it succeed, right? And I think that's the essence of what we are trying to drive here. We're all trying to just, for this next 30 minutes, be founders of Utilize, Samir's uh, startup. And the typical format will be Samir will take stage. He will share a little bit about uh, what he's building at Utilize. He'll take you through a little bit of a product demo, all of that. And once he shared some context, then we move into asking him what his challenges are or what his goals are, and then we try and see if there's any way that we can help him get there, right? Either with a thought process, either with a connect, right? Or the ultimate thing is if you find whatever he's doing so interesting that you want to, kind of explore working with him a little closer, right? To just kind of drop him an email and, take that forward from there. Uh, I'm just, Samir, unable to kind of, I've shared an invite to come on stage. I hope you're seeing that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hey Samir. Yeah, hi.
Hi, Ishwar. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
So Samir, I've just set the context here. Just saying what the whole weekly brainstorm is about for you as well. We have already done that, so it would be great if you kind of actually, if you could, start video at your end. It would be really good, as long as bandwidth permits, right?
So I do have some bandwidth issues. I thought I would. Uh,
No problem. It's more important to see you and then see the demo, right? So
right.
yeah, yeah. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So broad format, right, Samir? You take stage maybe for the next 10 minutes or so. Share a little bit about what you're building, why you're building it,
Sure.
right? Some of your key challenges that you are facing, and then we try and throw it open to the audience to kind of help you think through this, in any manner that they can. So that's the objective. Uh,
Sure.
and yeah, kind of over to you to share a little more about Utilize, about what you're building, and more.
Sure, Ishwar. Firstly, thanks a lot uh, for setting this up. I came across Unsolved very recently, and I've got in touch with you very recently. But what you're doing is something really amazing, right? I mean, at very few places you'll get feedback like this. You'll get an opportunity to pitch and get feedback like this. So thanks to you for that. So I'll quickly start off by introducing what we are doing. So if you ask me for a one-liner, so Utilize is a SaaS tool for businesses to create customized internal apps from Google Sheets. So we have talked to around 50 plus businesses in the last few months. So whatever version that we have right now is something that we built after iterating it with all these businesses. And during this while, we like one of the biggest reasons. What we realized is one of the biggest reasons why a business was not able to grow, or an early stage startup was not able to grow, is because their operations were extremely manual and inefficient. So when I say operations, it could be sales, it could be inventory, it could be a simple process, it could be a production line that requires digitization. So it could be any process, but in order to scale these operations, the businesses require a customized application that fit into this particular process, right? But the problem is the existing ERPs and CRMs of the world, they're usually one size fits all, right? Like it's very tough to customize a subscribed SaaS solution today. Like for example, Salesforce or even Zoho, they do provide a solution for it, but customizing on top of it, for example, Zoho requires you to write a script in Deluge to customize the solution that you subscribe for. And usually people hire Zoho developers to do it. So we felt this entire process is extremely convoluted, and we thought this customized application should be more accessible to small, medium businesses and startups. And that way they can move away from all the inefficiencies that they have, move away from pen and paper, move away from spreadsheets, which are great to crunch data, but not for collaboration, right? So that's a problem that we're trying to solve, and we're doing this by giving them a tool where they can quickly digitize and scale their operations by building these internal apps in just minutes, and that way the owner can focus on things that actually move their needle, things that grow their revenue. So that's about the problem and the solution. And the current stage that we are in, so we are currently, we have a first version in place. We, in fact, recently put up a lot of templates that we have built using our builder on the website. And because of which we're able to communicate what is it that we're doing. So we actually struggled a lot until recently to communicate to people what we're doing, especially because we're a horizontal product. So the messaging, I think we're slowly getting there. I'm pretty sure there's more to it because even today when you go to the website www.utilize.app, you will see that it's all solution focused, right? It says that you can run your business online, but we immediately jump to how you can do it, like what is the builder, like that you can create customized applications. So we're in this journey to get more focus on the problem that we're trying to solve. For example, are we reducing costs? Are we improving their employee productivity? And being a horizontal product, we're getting these messages, these insights from various places. So that's why, I think will take a while to jot down on a single problem that we're trying to solve. Just to quickly come back to what I was saying. So the current stage, we do have a first version. And currently we are doing a private beta. So there are 4 to 5 businesses that are actively using it, most of them small businesses. And we're just validating multiple hypotheses, right? So being a horizontal product, we're trying to figure out if this makes sense for an early stage startup. And what kind of early stage startups will this make sense? And similarly, we're trying to reach out to D2C brands who have a very efficient way to manage their business on the front end side. That means there are tools like Shopify, Magento, like there are quite a lot of tools that will help them manage their customer facing side of things, but their backend is still broken. That's what we realize, right? So they use like multiple tools to make their backend more efficient. So we thought there is some play there, so we're reaching out to more D2C brands as well. And recently, I think we got lucky to get in touch with a large enterprise. So we are in touch with a pen manufacturer in India. So they they require an app to digitize their B2B commerce. So today, since they're a pen manufacturer, so today and they sell to retailers, bookstores, and all of these retailers. And that entire process is very manual. There's a sales guy who goes and writes down how much like what do they need, the products that the retailer needs, and he goes back to a distributor and fulfills it. And because of the pandemic situation, they needed a way to do all this online, since the salespeople are not on the ground anymore. So I mean, the reason why I'm getting into the details of this is so they requested for scale, which is a huge challenge being a no-code product, right? Like until now, if you look online, a lot of no-code products are limited in scale. So there's a product called Glide Apps, which limits your scale to 25,000 rows on Google Sheets. In fact, this is a problem that we stumbled upon very organically. So we realized that, like, especially business applications, they require more frequency. They require to log data on a frequent basis, on a daily basis. Like even in this example, the pen manufacturer required a scale of around 1 lakh users, 1 lakh retailers in his network, which is a challenge for us, and we're trying to solve that right now. So yeah, so that's where we are, but we're still in private beta. I don't think so. We have since I mean we want to validate this hypothesis before opening it to public, because when we open to public, we want the messaging to be extremely appropriate.
Samir, just in the interest of time, maybe you can move closer towards demoing the solution in some way. Yeah.
All right, I'll do one thing. Instead of taking you through. So I have a video. Can I play the video issue? Like, is it fine?
Yeah, anything that helps them understand it better, right? So
all right, makes sense. I'll share my screen and I'll open this video. It's a very short video of 45 seconds. I'm sorry, I'm using Ameet for the first time, so you should.
That's okay. You already shared your screen, so now you just need to play the video. Yeah.
All right.
And for those who are watching, it's probably better to make a full screen of this, right? That way you'll be able to see a screen better. Otherwise, it sometimes gets pixelated. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll quickly stop sharing for a second. I'll open this.
Guys, in the meanwhile, if any of you have faced this situation where either in your own startups or in startups that you've been part of, you've wanted to kind of digitize some aspect of the business but didn't find a suitable app, right? Sharing that use case where that happened may be interesting for Samir. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
And in the meanwhile, any questions? I see, Lalit, you already have quite a few questions and suggestions. Maybe you can raise your hand just after the demo. I'll try and pull you up. Because you have quite a few, I think it's just best you have a conversation with Samir.
Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah. Just full screen it, yeah. Yeah, we can see it.
Are you able to hear the audio?
No. Could you voice it?
Yeah, I'll see if I can. It all starts by. Can you hear the audio now?
Yeah, we heard it. Yeah.
Okay. It all starts by selecting a Google Sheet, post which a basic application is created and is always in sync with it. The app can be further customized using components which are linked to columns in the spreadsheet. These applications can be used to view, create, and update data from the sheet. This app can be instantly accessed through a web link or as a mobile application. This way, one can create different applications for different functions, all from a single spreadsheet. In the coming versions, businesses can also automate processes in just a few clicks. So that's a very short demo of what we're doing. If it helps, I can also take you through.
So, question: are these web apps or mobile apps as well?
So currently we started with mobile apps because that's what we realized, that's what people need. But we've also come across cases where people need web apps. So that means a web-like view. So today, I think I'll share my screen again. Or is it already? Okay, I think it's already shared.
Yeah, the screen is shared at this point.
Right. So this is how the applications look today. So even on, so I'm on a desktop browser, right? So we are rendering a mobile view on the desktop as well. But this is in the pipeline. So we would want to show this rather as a web view because like in some cases, especially admin-like functionalities happen on the desktop, right? So it's pipeline, but right now it's all, it's all mobile. The view is mobile, and I think what you meant is it native or not? So these are not native apps; these are PWAs. So that means these are cross-platform applications, right? So that means you can open this link and add to your home screen to use it as a mobile app. So this is also something that we generated as an insight from these businesses, where going to the Play Store and downloading the app, they realized, they think it's just extra friction. So they either want to just give a simple link to their employees or customers or vendors for them to open it. Native apps are not scoped right now, but we created the system in such a way that we can also build out native apps out of this. I hope that answers the question.
Got it. Lalit, do you want to just come up because you had quite a few questions? Okay, thanks. I'm just inviting Lalit, who's the co-founder of Ameet, the platform we're meeting on. Maybe you can stop the screen share, or if you feel that it will aid with the answers, then keep it on.
Okay. We lost. Hey, Ishwar. Hey, Sameer. Hi.
Hi, Lalit. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, same here, man. And I loved your solution. Actually, I've faced multiple situations where wanted just some interface on a better interface on Excel sheets so that business workflows could be better managed. So right now, like in many companies, I see spreadsheet is still the go-to place for capturing data, managing status of certain items, right? So beyond basic record keeping, are you planning to build some business logic also in your apps, or is it just an interface on record keeping and workflows?
No, we've always started with saying that we want to build a no-code app builder that gives business logic at the center. So currently, it's not evident, but there is already some business logic. So we are able to solve collaboration like use cases, right? So if there's a production line, if there are multiple people in the production line, each person might have a different use case or functionality to solve. Like one person, or to take a simpler example, let's say leave management workflow, right? One person requests a leave, the other person approves the leave. So such business logic we're already able to solve, but something like formulas are not in the system, but they're scoped. Like we realize the formulas are really important, but we thought this is a good place to start. But we'll definitely include more and more business logic in the future.
Okay, so is the choice of backend as spreadsheet, is it just for wider adoption, or are you leveraging any spreadsheet features? Another part of the question would be, why not just a NoSQL database and solve the problem of the customer?
That's true. That's true. So we're stumbling upon that very recently, right? Especially because spreadsheets do not scale after a point. Like 50,000 rows or 1 lakh rows, it just gets too heavy. And frankly, right now I feel it's just for adoption, because when you say it is a spreadsheet, again, my process could evolve in the future. But right now, when we reach out to people, people are talking to us because we're talking about spreadsheets, because they know that it is very easy to move from their current solution to the solution that we are providing. But eventually, after they get used to these applications, we would want to move them to our platform, because that way we can provide more features. Like, there's always a limitation when you're on Google Sheets, right? Like, we need to stick with their formulas. The way, I mean, in fact, even when we integrate with Google Sheets, we're facing a lot of issues. Very, very small nuances, like images cannot be easily loaded and all of that. But right now, we're just leveraging it as an adoption hack. It might change in the future.
Okay.
But I think the ideal situation would be like Airtable, right? Airtable owns the data. So because of that, they're able to provide any sort of web apps or whatever application layer that they have. They're doing it pretty smoothly. But we want to piggyback on Google Sheets as of now.
I think good strategy to piggyback, definitely, and
Yeah.
I think that can also help you get some distribution leverage from the G Suite marketplace.
Yeah.
I've seen a company called Hiver. Hiver is a shared inbox solution.
All right.
G Suite marketplace is one of their very big source of getting customers.
Right.
So definitely, and not just so my just 2 paisa would be, don't just restrict to spreadsheets. Just maybe take G Suite as as that territory in which you want to just build more and more apps, because as a startup, many people are starting to use G Suite because email is like a basic thing,
Right.
and information is spread across email, Slack, right? And definitely there requires to be this a layer which sort of unifies at least document access, information access. Yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
good territory to be in. Wish you all the best here.
Makes sense. Lalit, if I may ask, I have one question. I'll use this platform to
Sure.
ask this question. I've been following Airmeet for a while, and now luckily, I got this opportunity. So one thing that because whenever I talk to people, right, whenever I say this is what I'm working on and SMBs is what we're trying to help, they say that why are you focusing on India, right? Like, why aren't you going outside? Why aren't you selling outside? And since Airmeet is a global product, I see a parallel there. So what do you suggest, right? Like, is it always the strategy to go outside and sell an SMB product? Or can we figure out partner channels within India? Or is it really tough to crack? Is it impossible to crack?
I think it is definitely not impossible to crack the India market.
Yeah.
The customers outside of India, they are slightly more evolved into their technology adoption. They are at a stage where they are realizing the problems of technology limitation, and they're looking for a solution.
Right.
In India, most of the times you have to sell the solution. You have to do concept selling a lot, right?
Right.
Because over here labor is very cheap, right? So many businesses, many SMEs, they might just hire one other person, and they might not need your solution at all.
Exactly.
So the ready market, I would say that the segment in the Indian customer sector, I would say if you have, let's say, 100,000 potential Indian customers, the already easy to convert segment is very thin. That's not the case outside of India. You might actually easily convert because people already are sold for the problem.
Makes sense.
That's the only thing.
Sure. I mean, I have some more question, but I'll connect with you offline, I guess.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. See ya.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Lalit.
Thank you.
Swaminath, do you want to just come up? You have some interesting points, and you're like, you might be able to get him a customer as well, I see. So do you want to just come and talk a little bit about the questions that you have? Okay, till we kind of figure that bit out, right? Let me just try and see if I can take the questions. Okay, great. He's here. Sorry, I was just trying to read and process the question and kind of share it with you, but it's just easier if he asks it himself, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And
Hey,
hey, hi, am I audible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Nice, Swaminath.
Ishwar, this one definitely immediately there is a need. So, Samir, quick thing. See, 50,000 rows is a big problem for us. We created some macros in a similar context, but we couldn't scale because every time it hangs, and after 50,000, processing has also become a problem. So is there a possibility for you to intelligently keep a track of how many entries have come and then break it as, like, say, after 30,000 or 20,000 rows, create new files on an automated way with some kind of a naming convention? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, so that's one solution that we're looking at. I mean, to solve that problem, like we figured out two solutions. One, whatever you just suggested, right, where we can break it down and add the CSVs to Drive and just clear the sheet again. But it's definitely a risky solution because if that's your interface to look at data, we don't want to start off with that solution. But again, we're just exploring.
No, I'm talking immediately. I understand that you will move towards, a better backend, right?
Yeah.
As a database. But I'm saying immediately to solve the current problem, can you make it a bit more? Because we are talking about certain industries like dairy and FMCG where we need this immediately.
Right.
A lot of the current ecosystem is broken, and just to give you a perspective, I am one of the co-founders of Mojro. We are automation platform on logistics.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of data capturing which goes for a toss, because of which our planning algorithms fail big time in the ground.
Got it.
So we keep creating smaller apps and whatever can help them to just ensure that the quality of data is better.
Right.
That's I see an immediate need here. However, scalability, because every day we collect a lot of thousands of millions of rows, right?
Yeah.
And across multiple different locations, this has to be registered.
Right.
So user access permission plus the data quality checks, if you can offer, that would make it a very simple prospect for us to go to market together.
Makes sense. So scalability is something that is already solved in the system. I mean, it is. So what I mean is there is an MVP for scalability. So just to give you some more information around it, Google Sheet, we're looking at it just as an interface for you to look at data. Right. End of the day, the way we are handling this is we're creating a shadow copy of this Google Sheet at our end, and using this shadow copy, it is on MongoDB. Using this shadow copy to scale these applications. Right. So whatever applications that you see are getting served from the shadow copy, the database that we are maintaining. It's just that this shadow copy and Google Sheet are in sync in the background. So this is almost near real time. So even if it's 50,000 rows or 1 lakh rows, so there is no problem in handling these apps. Like these apps will still be functional. So that means, like whatever use case that we want to solve, the logging will happen as it is. It's just that the syncing to the Google Sheet won't happen. So beyond a point, since Google Sheet cannot, like you rightly said, it cannot handle a few things like macros, like even a lot of data it cannot handle, right? It gets stuck. So that part we might cut off after 50,000 rows, but your apps won't. So your apps will remain to be functional.
Cool. And if it is MongoDB, will you give API access for us to either? I mean, if we give you an API, will you be able to push the data in a format we ask, or can you do the other way around?
So right now we haven't done any integrations as such, majorly because we are just focusing on non-technical companies. So that they were okay with even CSVs or Google Sheets. But we can definitely explore this, Swaminath. Like I can ping you offline and discuss this.
I'll connect both of you on an email. Actually, it's probably easy on a WhatsApp message, but yeah, I'll do that.
Where have you deployed it so far? Is there any valid data validation entities which you have included?
I didn't get you. So are you asking about companies or?
I mean, I'm asking a client is there any company where you have installed it and it's working fine as an example? That's one. Second question was, do you have data validations, like say if it is a mobile number, do you do some kind of a validation on that, numerical field or, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Have you got some built-in components?
Yeah, so we have some basic validations like a number can only be inputted in a number input component, like text can only be done on a text input component. But there's still some data validations that are missing, like phone number is missing in the system. Like we're still using the number input component for phone number as well. But all that, again, like we're just asking for someone to ask it. Like if you feel like phone number validation is required, we will prioritize it and build it out. Like since it's a no-code builder, like end of the day, we had to be very harsh on prioritizing these things. So there could be some validations missing, but we can prioritize that. So that's one. And two, so currently the applications that are active are majorly used by small businesses. So we recently came across the pen manufacturer that I was mentioning previously in the call. They required scale, right? So they wanted an application for around 1 lakh retailers and if you like around thousands of distributors that they have in pan India, we closed that deal. So that means we are trying to we're already testing our system for scale. That's what I'm trying to say. So like whatever 1 lakh retailers or 1 lakh users that they want to solve, we want to test it out in the coming 2 weeks. So but we don't have it running, but we're planning already for it. So I hope that will work.
Cool. And from a perspective of again security and all that, because we work with enterprises, right? So there are some security audits, and because their data cannot be going outside of their ecosystem. If they insist on some kind of an audit, will you be open for that?
We'll be open for that, Swaminath. We haven't come across that use case yet, but it requires us to follow some protocols. We will be, or on-prem solutions, like we will be happy to explore it.
Okay, and integrated with Auth0 or any of those authentication solutions?
So currently it's all OTP based. I mean, the builder is based out of Google, as in it's an OAuth of Google. But the end user applications are all OTP based. So phone number and email OTP.
Okay, cool. Reach, so Ishwar, please connect.
Yeah, I'll do that.
We will do a quick check on Monday, and there's a current opportunity. Maybe we can try it immediately. Right.
That'll be great, Swami. Thanks.
It's awesome to hear. So probably we've not started the brainstorm component yet, but I think you've got like a few folks who are already kind of keen, which is a great kind of result from the conversation, right?
Yeah.
But can you tell me a little bit about your challenges, Samir? What are you facing right now that you need to kind of solve? Let's say in the next 3 to 6 months time frame. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so at this moment, we just want to explore as many use cases as possible. Actually test our platform, say that, okay, we have a no-code builder that's functional enough to solve an ERP, solve a CRM, right? Solve something like B2B commerce. So that's our goal at this moment. So the challenges that we're facing is, so both our co-founders are tech-based. Like I slowly evolved into product in the last 2-3 years. But I previously worked at Flipkart. My co-founder, who's owning the tech, he previously worked at PhonePe. So one thing that product, I think we can handle, right? Like when we have a lead, we're able to have that constructive conversation and get all the insights from. So that we're able to handle. But the outreach is really tough for us. Like in fact,
go to market is a challenge. Getting more customers is a challenge. I'm assuming. I guess you're busy building product. Right, so
that's true, yeah.
Kind of go-to-market challenges exist. Are there any suggestions from the audience from a channel standpoint? Right, and obviously want to reach out to a bunch of maybe SMEs, maybe larger enterprises as well, who want to solve tech issues, in an efficient manner. So if anyone has any suggestions on what kind of approach to take, to acquire more of these, right? And tell me one thing, Samir, it's a question. So we have someone who wants to share some thoughts on that, Chakradhar. So let me just pull him on stage and then I'll ask you my question. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Samir. So just taking off on the point that Ishwar was saying on channels.
Yes.
There was somebody last week who was on a construction scheduling. Remember the
that was
Box. Yeah. So I think these kind of issues come up a lot in project data. Each site they'll be managing about 10-15 crores of payments and stuff like that, and so those kind of things need to get integrated. So let me just check up on somebody who can provide you a paid engagement, so you can help them optimize things. So that'll get you into the little slightly bigger space, so to speak. Yeah, Ishwar, connect me to Samir later.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'll definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super.
Thanks for joining, sir.
Hey.
Sure.
So I guess one of the things that that folks are saying, right? I mean, maybe like the construction industry, the interiors industry, anything which is project management heavy and operations heavy, right? Will probably have a larger need. I kind of have a sense because I've kind of been in that space earlier as well, right? But there is definitely a greater need to utilize tech to automate or simplify or just track, right, information. So some of these may be useful spaces for you to kind of jump in and explore, looking for someone who's already selling to them. Right. So in a sense, is there a way for you to, partner or get an ally who kind of helps you, make progress in those channels, right?
Right.
One thing, are you asking people to build their own solutions, or right now it's very assisted from your end?
No, so we have built something that is self-serve. Like
Okay.
people can build it out on their own. But we are facing some friction here and there because, I mean, people are usually busy, right? I think I'll put it that way. So since we're only dealing with Indian companies, I don't know if it's the same across markets. We are seeing a lot of service-oriented attitude. So for them, we are acting like partners. So we also want to try that strategy, right? We want to see if we can build a platform out of this. We want to check out if people will pay for a partner to create these applications for them on a one-time basis and then pay the yearly subscription fees. Will they pay for the extra service that they're getting? But yeah, it is self-serve, but we are respecting the other mindset as well. So we're not forcing the self-serve part on businesses.
Got it. And I think at least early on, you shouldn't force self-serve because it's also like a learning curve for you, right?
Right.
You need to observe, you need to kind of do it for them a little bit until you realize whether it's simple enough for them to do by themselves, right? At the end of the day. So kind of makes sense. Swaminath, just was wondering if you could showcase your business rule builder once. Do you have a business rule builder that you can share? Or are you able to hear me, Samir?
Hello? Yeah, what were you saying?
The business rule builder.
Yeah.
Is it possible to show the process of the business rule building again?
So there is nothing like business rule builder, but I'll.
So what I'll do is I'll connect you with Swaminath offline. Maybe here you can kind of do that there. There's a question here. Someone is trying to do like a B2B e-commerce development. Can you actually leverage your no-code platform to do something of that sort?
Can you point me to the question? That way I can address it.
Ankit asks, and I'll just, can you please, is it possible? I mean, he's asked it in a different way, right? But he wants to do a B2B e-commerce kind of solution, right? So I'm just wondering if your platform can enable that in any way.
Right? Oh yeah, so we are looking at a lot of B2B e-commerce use cases, majorly because of the grocery and kirana tech boom, right? So we are talking to a few businesses. Some of them are exploring. We haven't qualified some of these leads, but the pen manufacturer that I talked about, that is a B2B commerce use case. So I'm happy to connect offline, Ankit. I'll actually note down your. I'll shoot out an invite on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and Ankit, maybe the easiest way is just to kind of ping him on unsolved.xyz. They are on the spotlight, quite easy to find.
Yeah.
Right. And probably you can set up a demo for him for that specific use case.
Sure.
Right. So, I mean, it's interesting. So what you're saying is B2B e-commerce can be done, but I'm assuming it's not payment integrated, right? I mean, it's like a product showcase.
That's true. Well, that's you're spot on there. So we haven't done any payment integrations yet. The reason why it was making sense for them is because they're mostly COD based, credit based. So for them it was not a problem. Again, we're just waiting for someone to tell us that hey, we need payments, and we'll immediately integrate with UPI or whatever. Yeah. So it's definitely in the pipeline. Just that we haven't picked it yet.
Makes sense. I mean, I think B2B e-commerce, if you can simplify it for folks, that itself is like a Yeah, but I think there are some specialist folks who are also doing B2B e-commerce, so you may have to yeah, just see how you fare versus them as well, right?
That's true.
So yeah, so interesting. Let me just try and see if there are any more questions from the audience.
Sure.
Yeah, I think there are a few who are echoing that self-serve may not work, at least initially, right?
Yeah.
And Swaminath is more than happy to kind of partner for any form of enterprise sales in India, right? So it'll be a good connect for you to take there. Any other? I mean, I understand there are channel partner issues, right? So one is channel sales. There is two. Of course, you can also explore trying to reach folks directly. Like let's say India Mart, for example, right? Pick up an industry that works. Search for people who are there, and try and reach them and say, "This is the solution that I have for you." Right? Is this something that you need? So try and leverage platforms which already have businesses, I guess, so
Yeah.
be it IndiaMart or Just Dial or whichever, right, may help you, or maybe use like some form of a resource like a tele sales resource to kind of pre-qualify your conversations, right? To give them like a script kind of thing, and then like go and do conscious cold calling, reach out. And you take on conversations which are at least like warm, right? I mean, like they're slightly interested in what you're doing. So, otherwise it can take up a lot of your time just from just sales can take a lot of your time, right? So depending on resources on hand and depending on how many co-founders and whose responsibilities and things like that. But is it something that you're looking for actively, like to fill the go-to-market kind of
Ishwar, if you don't mind, can you repeat your last two lines? Like it got broke.
Just give me a second. I have a question which, yeah. So I think there's a question here, right? Like if people want to partner with you as a channel partner, is there like have you already thought about this from a channel partner standpoint? What you can offer channel partners?
We do
acquire customers for you.
Right. So that's something that we are. We haven't. I haven't talked to many channel partners yet. Like I started talking in the last 3 weeks. So I talked to a few CA firms, a few tech consultancies, a few digital agencies. So I'm definitely exploring that angle, and I'm very new to it. But I'm happy to have more conversations around it. So I mean, for me, it's a very exciting strategy because since they already have an existing network. Since they're already in touch with these businesses, they know the pain points very closely. One, so it's very easy for me to get those insights. And two, like from my conversation so far, the main problem they are facing is lack of resources, right? Especially digital agencies and tech consultancies. They're like if a business asks for a certain let's say solution, let's say an ERP or something, or an inventory management application, it's very tough to immediately fulfill it. So this might give an option to do it. There could still be some gaps, but at least there's a prototype for them to show. Like that. In fact, that worked out for us with the pen manufacturer, right? Like when we went to them, we showed them the application that we have already built. Like, see, this is what we have already built for you on the first day. So give us some time to fill the gaps, right? So that way, we would want to explore partner channels.
So got it. So what I would think of is, how do you kind of enable a partner channel to acquire for you, and kind of how do you put in place some form of transparent revenue sharing or commission based or whatever, right? It seems like, at least from conversations here, it definitely seems like the industry has a need, right? You have a product now and you have a go-to-market challenge, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, if there are channel partners who can actually cause this for you to make this happen, it definitely means if you put in place enough incentive, right, then it will kind of happen. That's the tricky part. So you just have to figure out how to put that incentives in place. And then of course make sure that their customers are happy, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that we are assuming will happen. But yeah, I feel if those two are done, then you have something on hand which is like a then there's a lot that can happen on the go-to-market side, right? Because there are more, it's almost like the world can take your product and repurpose it and then use it for someone and still make money off it.
Right. I mean, hello.
Yeah, I'm still here. I just turned off video because I thought my audio was getting affected.
Yeah, I think the bandwidth issue is at your side, not mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So what I'm saying is, I mean, that's a really great point, right? It's just that we're not mature. I think we're not mature enough to understand what is that pricing between a partner channel and us, because we just started these conversations. But what we're focusing on is that happiness factor, right? That you said, where we want to understand if their businesses, their clients can actually derive value out of it. I think, in fact, once we know that, it makes sense for us to do some sort of value-based pricing. Right now, yeah, from a partner standpoint, especially, we don't have the pricing yet.
No, that's fine. I think take that as a brainstorming suggestion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, true.
A few more questions. How are you pricing it today? Is it app-based, user-based, or row-based? How are you pricing it right now?
So currently, so we did not want to limit people on the number of applications that they can build. So we created 4 slabs. Like even the free slab has unlimited applications, but we are limiting on the app usage. So app usage includes users. It includes number of rows. It includes file storage. So such things, right? And there are other features like custom domain and all of that can. I mean, that will come in the paid slabs. But yeah, to answer it shortly, we are doing it on app usage because we realize that people would want to explore what they need, right? Like, it's not like people already know what is it that they need. They have to, like, even if they are building or even if we are building it on their behalf, it's an iterative process. Like, it was always 2 to 3 conversations that we had to sit through to come up with a viable application that they can use. So yeah, so that's why we don't want to limit on the built-in process. We would rather want to limit on app usage. So if they want to scale it to more people or more data, that's when we would want to get paid more.
Is there a free version for any app? I mean, can I actually build an app and get a free version out and see if it works for me and then upgrade?
Your voice broke, Ishwar, but I got the first part. You're asking if there's a free version, right?
Yeah. Is there a free version? Yeah.
Right. There is a free version. Technically, there is. I mean, I can give you access and you can use it for free for a while. But yeah, there is definitely a free version. Like even today, once I'm happy to give access to everyone who joins, so that way they can explore the builder themselves. But yeah, there is a free version. I think right now everything is manual, right? So when someone starts using it, when we realize that they are finding some value, we then get on a call with them and then talk about pricing. So yeah, there is a free version today. Even in the future, we do want it a free version because that's how people try out these applications, right? That's how they can try out our tool.
Got it. I think that's where the suggestion was, just to keep a free version available and allow for upgrade after it starts working for them. So keep building free, but usage is not free, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Another question: do you support offline capabilities like storing the data in the mobile and then syncing up at a later point when connected?
Yeah, so that's definitely, we're looking at it as a USP, but we haven't built it yet. It's all online as of now. But we have already started development on building this offline capability. Again, we are waiting for the right use case to roll it out. But we realize it's really important, right? Like especially when we talk to Indian businesses, a lot of these, I mean, there is still connectivity issues at a lot of places. So we see offline as an important feature. I think offline basically means, like you said, it is syncing in the background, so things happen asynchronously. So yeah, it's pipelined. We will pick it soon as soon as we find a use case.
Got it. I think it's a suggestion because sometimes, just in India, everyone is not always online, and then you're in a remote warehouse somewhere and you're trying to kind of connect, right? So you want to ensure that that functionality exists. Some more suggestions that Swaminath has is GPS info capture, offline photo upload, all of that.
Yeah, photo upload is already there, Swaminath. Offline is I just said just offline. So we just if I mean I really want to understand your use case now, because since there are so many features that you're suggesting, I would love to explore the pain points and why you need these features, and we can definitely prioritize accordingly. So offline, I just said this, so it is in the pipeline. Photo upload is possible. So we have a component. All these are building blocks, right? So there's some building blocks that we already have, and there's some that we don't. Photo upload is something that we already have. What is the other one? GPS, right? So GPS is something that we haven't built out yet. Since it was too niche. We haven't scoped it yet. But if it's needed, we should figure out a way. Again, I might be repeating myself, but even GPS is a building block, right? Like you need a way to add that component in an application and create, log the GPS information. So yeah, hope that answers.
Will people be able to actually get some data analytics on usage and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, this is again one of those things that we deprioritize because we want to get them started and then talk about analytics and app usage. But there is an easy way to do it. So Google Analytics provides a good way to get analytics on a certain domain. But there's definitely some tech efforts that we have to put to fulfill it. But all this is pipeline, like even data analytics is pipeline. But if you're talking about, I think there are two things here, right? One is app analytics, for which Google Analytics could be a solution, where we have to integrate with Google Analytics and provide a specialized link to whoever is building the app. And then secondly is data analytics. So data analytics is something that we deprioritize as well, because since we are already providing them a report in an Excel format, like it could be on Google Sheet. It is on Google Sheets today. We thought if they want to create any graphs on top of it, they can, right? And since analytics is usually a non-real-time aspect, we thought it's okay if they can build it on their own. And in fact, even we can help out people, right? Like when you have data on Google Sheets, it's very easy to create graphs on top of it. Data analytics is also it's pipeline, but we deprioritized as of now. Yeah.
Got it. A few more suggestions on automated scheduled jobs and reminders to complete certain jobs and things like that, right? And also some amount of marketing automation, especially if there is like a B2B e-commerce kind of route where you're enabling sales, then some amount of marketing automation, notifications or reminders or something of that sort may be interesting.
Right. That's true. I think so. Automation is something we figured out is very important. But even before that, I think we're solving that the basic problem, right? Digitization. I think that's how it's sequenced, right? First, they have to digitize a manual process, since we're majorly trying to solve manual operational processes, and then is automation. So, but we're actively working on it. Just to show.
So one thing Sai suggests is that he says non-tech organizations need some form of live dashboard reporting, as well as one-click reporting on like one single platform.
Right.
Is this kind of a live dashboard of sorts which gives a single click view, available, or maybe you can add it to the pipeline,
Definitely. I'm actually noting all this down as people ask. Even this is something that we realized is very important, especially for non-tech firms. He's spot on, Sai Kumar, because uh, uh, like I mean, they do have. I think so. This is one insight that we generated, where um, like SMBs, though they have the data, they do not. I mean, so the insights are missing from the data, right? So data is all there, but someone has to crunch those numbers and say, hey, this is how your sales are growing, or this is how things are happening. There are quite a tools that are trying to solve that specific problem. So that's why we did not start there, because we felt like we cannot, come up with the best solution. But once we solve the digitization aspect, this should follow. But I think he's saying it could be a priority, because he said that non-tech organizations might require this firsthand. So if that's the case, I mean, we're happy to prioritize one of these. But that's a really good point.
Another suggestion is for this use case, the digitization use case, India and Asian markets are probably the best bet, is what Swaminath thinks, versus maybe international. There is massive volume and massive number of issues. So,
Right.
so it might just be the right market to play in.
That's true, and also just to counter it a bit, it's also a very. I mean, that's what we face so far. It's very tough to penetrate, right? So, uh, so, so I mean, if Swaminath can also suggest as to what do you think is the right way to penetrate? Because for me, like in the past few weeks, it was extremely tough to reach out to a person, right? Like that outreach, the go-to market is just not evident for us so far. So, what do you think, or even Ishwar, you can help? So, what do you think is the best way to go about that problem, right? And since he talked about Indian and Asian markets,
I mean, I just think that for you, you need to actually have someone who understands the problem of that person and say, hey, I know someone who can solve this for
Right.
you. Right?
That's right, yeah.
So you need that kind of a trusted relationship already existing. And they say, hey, by the way, this can be solved with tech. Right?
Right.
So you actually want that kind of channel partner. So which is why I said, the first thing that you should try and figure out is, how do you incentivize more and more channel partners to work with you and take your solution to their
Right.
existing clientele, right? So there are enough people who are already solving stuff for companies. So this is something that we have honestly been thinking about a fair bit from Unsolved perspective as well. We think that the whole concept of an ally is required, right? Like you need allies right now, right? Who will take
Yeah.
you to market, right? Who will sell you to their customers, all of that. But at the same point in time, no one's going to do it unless there's a clear incentive and payoff, right? I mean, they'll do it. They'll introduce you to one person because they know it, right? But that's not really a strategy for go to market. So I think it's kind of important to figure out how you're going to actually work with channel partners and enable them to win while you're winning as well, right? So I think that's a very, very important piece of the puzzle. I'm just calling Chakradhar back. I think he would like to say something on this.
Right.
So this is a very important point, Ishwar. I was just working with a startup in Ahmedabad. They have an AR/VR solution, and they don't know who to sell it to. So I took it to a construction major, and I told them, look, you need to do remote commissioning. Here's an app which will do it. So that's exactly the point. My question was related to that. So right now you're solving the no-code problem, but then you should also be solving other problems which startups or other companies will have. Like, say, the point I was making was customer acquisition. So what is it that you're doing for customer acquisition? How does it link to that? So then people immediately hook on to you. That is what the point I was making. So you should try to solve a bigger problem type of a thing beyond the no-code solution.
Right. So
that makes sense, you should.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an interesting point, right? Because no code is, it's terminology that the VC knows, right?
Yeah.
But it's not what your customer talks about, right? So he just wants an app. Okay, you're telling me an app can solve this? Great, right? So easy apps, are something that could be interesting for folks. And like as Chakradhar is saying, right, like obviously he took an AR company, shared it with a construction major, right? Now you may do one of those of just out of goodwill, right? But you're not going to actively sit and open out your entire connection database and actively sell a partner without there being sufficient incentive or motivation to do that. So I think that is important to work out. And even Swaminath kind of airs that in some of his more of his suggestions. He says there are many companies like his which are unable to demonstrate value because data quality is poor, right? And sometimes you have to build these small solutions for partners when you don't want to, because that's not your core, right? You actually don't want to get into non-core activity. So if someone can take that off, right, and say, hey, listen, any form of this non-core activity we'll handle, right? We will ensure that this ecosystem of apps are delivered, even if it means that you have no-code app builders, right? You have a small little army of no-code app builders that will interface with the client and build whatever they want for them.
Yeah.
Right. Initially, it can be you, right? Who's doing it and things like that, because a lot of these customers, even with no code, it's still complex. I mean, like I'm looking at your demo itself, it still seems complex, right? I mean, I'm not going to just jump in, and build this. Yeah.
So one of the things most services companies will look for is productivity improvements. And looking back at whatever productivity improvements I was seeing around, it's mostly Excel based. So you need to get into somebody who is driving productivity in one of the service companies. Let me see the guy in L&T, whether he's still around, and I'll give you a link into it. So your solution goes directly there.
Sure.
So yeah, so project teams will always be doing something, and they won't be able to integrate well, and so on and so forth. Right. So I think it'll go very well there as well. So let me try that. Get that to you.
Sure, makes sense.
Just all the best.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to the no-code aspect, right? So if you look at the website, they were very wary of adding the word no-code, because in fact, when we started off, like we had a very very crude way to look at things, right? So we started off saying that we have a no-code solution. We're making the best no-code solution in the world. But what we realized is that's not. I mean, it's very tough to we'll be in a feature race to be better at it, right? Like we want to eventually be a better no-code builder. So, and there are a lot of no-code builders out there, and that's when we realized that that's not the right way to go about it. In fact, like Ishwar rightly pointed out, these businesses do not care if it's no-code or not. They do not even care about the building process. So this pen manufacturer that I told, like he never asked us how we are building it, right? It was always about what feature it is, like how will it help me, can I adopt it? So very user-specific questions is what we saw. So that's very spot on. I think that's where we should be.
All the best.
Thank you.
Okay, we are slightly past time, so I'm going to kind of move towards closing. I'll just see if there's any suggestion that I have not covered. I think there's one here which says you can create templates of dashboards from Google Sheets easily with Google Data Studio for, so yeah, I mean, just in case you need a way to do that, I'm copy pasting that as a suggestion for you on your page on Unsolved as well.
Sure, that's right. I mean, that's one reason why we're not building it right away, because there's already an easy way to do it using Data Studio.
That's cool. Awesome. So great, Samir, thanks for joining us today. Thanks everyone for coming. I think today has actually been a much, normally there are just suggestions. I think we are gradually moving this in a direction where, startups that need the help are getting it beyond just in the form of, hey, you should do this, but there's almost like it's moving into collaboration territory, which is what we always dreamt about. Right, we always thought startups need to work closer together. They need to find their allies, whether it's a co-founder, whether it's a channel partner, whether it's even an intern. Right, you need to figure out who your allies are in the journey and who will kind of help you move to the next level. I think that's what it is. And everybody needs something in it for them, right, to ensure that they're happy in this journey. So It's good to see that happen right here on stage. Kind of unexpected, but Samir, your thoughts?
I mean, whatever I say might be cliche. Probably everyone who comes here says the same thing. But I think it's extremely kind of everyone to come up so actively, proactively giving suggestions. And Ishwar, I think whatever you're doing is no less of a service, right? So, like being a startup, I think that's one thing that, like, there are obviously, I passed out from BITS. Like, there are obviously some communities where, like the BITS alumni community, like you can probably ping people and get it done. But this collaboration is missing, right? Like, I think this is the missing piece in the startup community, where people actively, talk about what they're doing, and also, like these suggestions are like, even if it's a negative insight, right? Like, it's not actually negative, right? It's a great thing that I can note down and I actually work upon. These are hacks for me. Like, these are hacks that I need not stumble upon organically by talking to a number of people. So, yeah, I mean, thanks. I think that's all I can say.
Awesome. So we'll take a break. We'll try and join you on the tables. The conversation does continue, right? So if anyone can hang around and, we will join you in the social lounge shortly, if you have the time, of course, Samir, that we'll figure out. But otherwise, the session ends and we'll catch you on another week, another day, another startup.
Yeah. I'll hang around. Yeah. Thanks for this issue. Thanks for everyone joining. Yeah. Okay.